Hi, welcome to Ed Knows. Ed Knows Real Estate. I've been a realtor for 30 years now with over 2,500 satisfied clients and over 300 million in sales. I know a little about real estate and I'm here to help you and to teach you on how to get your offer accepted when bidding on a property. We're going to discuss many things today. The importance of having a pre-approval, determining value on a home, what is the seller's motivation for moving, what kind of buyers are you, seller concessions, the importance of the down payment money, love letters and photos, the term highest and best and what that means, understanding the escalation clause, what as is means, waiving the appraisals and waiving the inspections, and then how to prepare your offer to be submitted to the seller and the listing agent. So please stay tuned. And getting started here and working on getting your offer accepted, or at least giving it the best shot you have, the things that we want to talk about is pre-approval. The importance of a pre-approval is different than pre-qualified. Getting pre-approved means that all underwriting has been done on you and that the only thing that we're waiting for is an appraisal. This makes you much more qualified than a pre-qualified. They've done their credit checks, they've done their income checks and asset verifications on you. And when their listing agent receives this, they know that you've taken the steps even farther than just getting pre-qualified. Use a local reputable lender. Okay, these lenders have a reputation with the local realtors. They can work hands-on with them. Going on the internet and getting somebody from who knows where in California where you don't get the same person every time is not going to be beneficial to you when hoping that your offer gets chosen over another one. Also, make sure your lender is willing to call the listing agent to assure them how qualified you are, that you're a good buyer, that you're more than qualified, that all the everything is good credit, income, everything has been checked already, and that they're going to work hand in hand with the listing agent in getting this property sold and getting the mortgage approved. This is important, right? Because they want to, the listing agents want to hear this, be reassured so that they can relay this information to their sellers and put the sellers at ease when making a decision. The other thing is when you're going to make an offer, you have to determine the value of the home. The listing price doesn't mean that that is the correct price it should be at. Everybody talks about, oh, I'm going to offer an asking price. Well, how do I know asking price is not, it's not underpriced? How do I know it's not overpriced? All right. You need to determine what the true value is, and then you need to determine what you're willing to pay for it. All right. If you really want it, sometimes paying more is better because who knows if the market continues to rise, you'll regret that you didn't do it at the time. And if it's something that you really want and you plan on staying there for a while, go for it, right? If it has all the improvements you want, whether it's the in-ground pool, the finished basement, those things are very costly when you do it on your own. So don't be afraid to put that into the value of what you're trying to buy. And these things are important when if you don't love it, you're not going to go for it all. If you love it, you go for it, all right? This is where you're going to live with your family, whether it's yourself, your wife, whoever, and you want to be happy with where you're living. And if it's everything you want, don't be afraid to go for it. Who cares if you think you paid 5, 10,000 over asking, too high for the property? You got it. Because there's nothing worse than wishing you paid 5,000 more and you drive by the house 2 months from now and your wife's all pissed off at you. I shouldn't say wife or husband, but anyway, you know what I'm trying to get at. You don't want to have any regrets when bidding on the home. So the value, determine the value. Don't base the value just on the asking price, and don't base it on Zillow. Zillow is not accurate. Don't base it on the assessed value that you get from the tax records. Have your buyers, your agent, determine the value for you going over the local comps, taking into consideration improvements or not improvements, location, whatever, and determine the value which you feel it's worth, and then you decide what you want to pay for it. Third, what is the seller's motivation? Why are they moving? When are they moving? Where are they moving? The reason I say this is that if you're living at mom and dad's, or you're in an apartment, you're in a rental, or you can go to interim housing and you're trying to buy a house from someone who needs to sell their home to buy, their challenge going out into the market is that they have a contingency and nobody wants to accept their contingency. So some of the things you can do is you can purchase the home and close on it and allow the sellers to lease it back from you. Right now, that helps the sellers lift their contingency, right, and makes them a more qualified buyer. This many times can win a bid over someone who bids the highest because someone can offer more money, but if they got no place to go, they really can't accept the offer, right? Other things to take into consideration: are they looking for a quick move? Are they looking for a later move? Have your realtor find these things out prior to making the offer. You want to make your initial offer as appetizing and as appealing to the sellers as possible so that they're attracted to the offer and they, or maybe they can see that there's a value. The thing I'm trying to get is it's not just the price that makes the sale, it's the terms, right? If someone's looking for a quick sale and you want to close in 3 months, that might not work for them, right? And vice versa. If you're trying to close in 30 days and they want to wait till 90 days, or they want to wait till the kids get out of school, or they retire X amount of, find all these things out before submitting the offer. Again, so it makes it more appealing to the seller. One of the things that's really important here is what kind of buyer you are. Are you a cash buyer? Are you a 20% down buyer? Are you doing 10% down, 5% down, FHA, VA? Are you using grant money? Because a lot of these things determine who they're going to choose when they see this. It's hard to compete against cash, but you got to make sure, I get some people that come, they're like, oh, they want to buy the house cash, but they have to sell their house first to get the cash. That's not cash. That's a contingency, right? If you have to sell a home to buy, that's a tough situation right now with so many offers. Many sellers don't even want to be interested in a contingency, but you can sell this. You can have your agent, when they present it to the listing agent, say, this is what our house is listed for. This is what the comps say it's worth. We have X amount of equity in this. In this market, homes are going to sell. So I don't shy away from a contingency if I feel that the sellers are qualified and they have their house priced properly to get it sold quickly so that they can move on and purchase this home. 20% down. The difference between 20% down versus 10 and 5% down is PMI insurance. That's what makes the difference in all this. When you have PMI insurance, that's basically every lender, when they lend money, they want to have at least 20% equity in the home. So if you're not putting down 20%, you have to get insurance that insures that additional, whether it's 10, 5, or 15%. It's just another hurdle to cross. It's another underwriter to get past. And that's why 20% down is much more appealing than 10% or 5% down. FHA, there's nothing wrong with FHA. It allows you to have a more flexible credit score. It allows you to get better, more concessions or gift money from your relatives or whatever. But sellers look at it and say, 3.5% down, it gets becoming more risky. It does become a little bit more risky. There's no inspections like they used to do years ago where they would come in and they would cite violations. That doesn't even exist anymore. But you have to understand this: when you're bidding on a home and you're an FHA buyer, you are not the strongest buyer. All right. You have to understand this, and you have to go in there and be as aggressive as you possibly can. But understand that in an FHA or a VA deal, the sellers have to sign an addendum that states that the sale price cannot be any greater than the appraised value. That's your out. If the house underappraises, you can walk. It doesn't mean you can't buy the home. You can still make up the difference, and we'll discuss this in a later video on that. Point 5 is that your down payment money or earnest money deposit. The more skin you have in the game, the more secure the seller feels. Not that you're going to walk anyway, but they feel, if you're only putting $5,000 in escrow, nobody's going to take you as serious as if you were going to put at least 5% in escrow. Now, if you're doing FHA or VA and you're not putting a lot of money down, I get it. But if you are putting down 20% or 10%, be willing to put up most of it up front, all right? It's not going anywhere. Nobody can take it. Nobody can touch it. And if the deal falls apart or there are inspections that are done and you back out of the deal for any rights that you have within your contract, you're getting the money back. And that money is part of your down payment. So if you're putting down 20% and you put 10% in escrow, that 10% goes towards closing, goes towards your deposit money. So just so you understand how that works. The other thing I want to talk about is seller concessions. Asking for concessions in a market where it's tough to get your offer accepted is not in your benefit, but I get it. I mean, sometimes people want to finance their closing costs. Sometimes people want to save some money to make repairs to the property. Whatever. Maybe you just, you need the seller concession to help you pay for your closing costs. The misconception is that the seller gives it to you. No, you finance it. So example, if you bid on a house and the agreed price is $400,000, but you want to get $7,000 in seller's concessions, well, we raise the price to $407,000 and the $7,000 is given back to you at settlement. This is also important when you're presenting it to the seller. When you go to a seller and say, hey, they're giving you $407,000, but you're going to give them $7,000 back at closing, he's going to say, I'm not giving him any money. That wasn't my agreement. He's not giving you the money. You're financing it. And that's the way to sell it. When you negotiate a deal where you're going to ask for seller concessions, negotiate the net sale price first. Right? If $400,000 was the sale price, let's get to $400,000. And then when we go to contract, we'll raise the price to $407,000. Your realtor can tell the listing agent, look, my clients have decided to finance their closing costs. So we've raised the rate, the purchase price to 407. The commission would be based against 400, not 407. So the seller's not paying a commission against something he's not receiving. And that's the best way to sell it on that. Understand, though, it doesn't make you as strong of a buyer when you're asking for the concessions. So just be careful on that. Please tune in next week as I go over how the offer should be presented to the listing agent and to the seller. See you then. Remember to like and subscribe.